بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Amir al-Mu'mineen, he gives an example. Abu al-Hasan alayhi salatu wasalam says, if there is a pot filled with something, filled with some type of food, and you take that pot and you turn it completely upside down, he says that will be the state of Islam in the final days in Akhir al-Zaman. Meaning what? He says that which is ma'roof turns into munkar, and that which is munkar turns into ma'roof. People won't realize what their religion is. Why? You know, sometimes I come and tell you this is something batil. Sometimes it's clear that what I'm saying isn't part of Islam. No, that's not what happens in Akhir al-Zaman. The riwayat say in Akhir al-Zaman, someone says drinking wine is halal, not by saying it's wine, by saying it's another drink that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made permissible. And so the riwayat say that people try to change ahkam such that a time will come where a mu'min wakes up a mu'min. By the time the evening comes, he has turned into a kafir. Other narrations say that holding on to their iman becomes very difficult. This is the fitna that is being spoken about in Akhir al-Zaman. For the riwayah says during that time, ilm and knowledge is lifted from the people. Jahl and ignorance becomes prevalent. This is the fitna that is spoken about. But the question comes, why is it necessary for that fitna to take place? If I'm told before the Imam reappears, there is this type of disunity. There is this type of mixing between truth and falsehood. Why? What's the philosophy behind that? Is that something that is needed? And there are many answers to this question that the ahadith have mentioned, but I mention one answer that is given in the riwayat and narrations that speak about Nuh alayhi salatu wassalam. For we find a number of similarities between what happens with Nuh and other prophets of God and that which happens with our A'imma alayhim salatu wassalam. This is one example. For you've heard that Nuh spends years propagating Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's religion. Quran al-Kareem says for hundreds of years he propagates Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's religion, and there are very few people that remain believers. And we're told that any prophet of God can only be a prophet of God when they have patience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a person a prophet. One of the things that he takes into account is the sabr that they have. So Nuh is patient for a number of years. No matter what they do to him, he's patient. Until eventually we're told his patience and the patience of the believers that are with him runs out. And so Nuh alayhi salatu wassalam asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send his punishment on those people. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he sends punishment, if you look at the history of any civilization, any group of people to whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent adhab and punishment, Allah never sends it straight away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala delays it and delays it and delays it until finally then he sends the punishment. Why? Because it's possible that if he delays it for one day, someone may be saved. Someone may believe. Someone may hear that a punishment is coming and do istighfar and repent. And so Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, when he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that punishment is also salvation for his people from these people that are dhalimeen. So when he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this, we're told that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him that a flood shall come. Those that are disbelievers shall be drowned in that flood. You and your followers build an ark. We know this. What happens then is more interesting. Is that Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam tells his followers, and those few people that believed, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to me. Soon the punishment shall come. We shall gain salvation. So the books of history say that Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam begins building the ark. And as he's building the ark, the people of Nuh are with him. The disbelievers make a mockery of him. What does this person think he's doing? And sometimes as he's building the ark, they pelt him in stones and cover him in pebbles and stones, and he lays there for a number of days. And Jibreel would descend down to help Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam. These things take place. However, the time becomes longer and longer and longer. We're waiting for that punishment. We're waiting for that salvation. It hasn't come. Until Jibreel comes down. Jibreel comes down with seeds in his hand. The riwayah says, he tells Nuh, plant these seeds, something will happen. So what will happen? When you plant these seeds, a tree or trees shall grow. And when these trees shall be fruit bearing, that is the sign that the punishment is coming for them, salvation is coming for you. And the way that we have certain definite signs of the coming of the 12th Imam Salamullah alayhi, that we're told when these signs come, without a doubt he'll come. Like what? Like the rising of Sufyani, like the qatlun nafs zakiyya, the killing of the pure soul in the haram of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Mecca, like the earth between Mecca and Medina swallowing an army as they try to destroy the grave of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And the cries of Jibra'il. All of these are signs. We're told when you see these signs, be ready. Anytime the dhuhr will take place. Likewise, Jibra'il came to Nuh salamullah alayhi and said, this is a sign. Plant it, sow the seed. When the tree grows and it's fruit bearing, this is the sign that very soon adhab is going to come. So he tells his people, they've been waiting for a number of years. They're very happy. They sow the seed. The tree grows. It's not fruit bearing. So they're waiting until that tree dies. Now, what entered into the heart of many of these people? Doubt. And so the narrations say that 1/3 of the small number of people that were left with Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam left him. Why? Because you made a promise. Your Lord said, when this tree has fruits, the adhab is going to come. The tree has died. Where's the promise? Jibra'il came down a second time. Again with seeds in his hand. Ya Nuh, Nabi Allah, sow these seeds. So he did the same thing. He planted these seeds. Again a tree grew. Again, before it was fruit bearing, the tree died. This happened a third time, the same thing happened. And each time, a group of people left. Until eventually those that remained came to Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam and said, Ya Nuh, Nabi Allah, we don't care about whether the fruit is on the tree or not on the tree. Whether the tree is living or the tree dies, we believed in you, we stand by you. It doesn't make a difference to us whether it comes now or whether it comes later. Once those that were left with Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam were these believers, that's when the punishment came and the salvation came for them. And so the reason behind that was what? To remove, as I said, the key point of fitna, to remove impurity from the purity. The reason why there is fitna of Akhir al-Zaman is to remove those that in their hearts have nifaq. And so when they are unable to distinguish between haqq and batil, what is left are the believers that are pure. But someone may say, isn't this very difficult for us? A mu'min wakes up in the morning, a mu'min, by night time he becomes a kafir. Isn't this something very difficult, that the lines between haqq and batil, I can't differentiate between them? So the answer to this question, a person comes to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, Ya ibn Rasulillah, in Akhir al-Zaman, that fitna is going to be very difficult. How can we manage to overcome that fitna? So the Imam, the hadith was in the daytime. The Imam says, look at the sky. What's in front of you? He says, the sun is in front of me. The Imam asks him a second time, what is there in front of you? He says, Ya ibn Rasulillah, ash-shams, the sun is there. He says, how clear were you able to identify this sun? He says, yes, Ya ibn Rasulullah. He says, that is how clear the truth shall be in Akhir al-Zaman for a person who surely is a believer. For a believer, there is no fitna. For a believer, I said the lines between haqq and batil is very clear. For the munafiq, they cannot differentiate between these two things.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.